Welcome back to part 2 of the tray build video. In this episode, what we're going to go through is doing all the finishing little touches on the tray, getting the floor wrapped up, the lights cut in, getting it prepped and ready for some paint to be thrown at it. Hopefully by the end of it, it turns out pretty good. Hoping to go for a nice, strong, sturdy looking tray that's going to end up with a little bit of a comp style look to it. So let's stop messing around and rip right in. Righto, we are moving on to headboard. As you can see, I've cut and bent this first one in here, which is now pretty solid. It's just tacked on in case I needed to move anything. What I did, there's 2 body lines on an 80 series here. Obviously they're real bubbly, so getting it to work with RHS or square is a challenge in its sense without making it a square tray, just a big rectangle. But what I am doing, I measured up to the second groove that I wanted to cut it at to get it as close and parallel with this panel in here. Hopefully you can see my hand, be nice. This piece here is obviously not straight as well because it's an 80 series, it's slightly round. I measured off where the door line is to the RHS inside, it was about 35 mil, and then where the gutter is, it's about 35 mil. So it's the same there and there, and it gets smaller as it goes into the middle. So it's not a giant gap, which is good, and only just hangs past the tray. I got like 175 mil to my cut line, and this angle here is 17 degrees roughly. I just used a big square, put a square bit on here, just hanging up massive like this before I cut it. Went to where my line was, argument's sake, there, and then I twisted it and pivoted it, because these have degrees on them, to where that was running pretty parallel with the back of the car. And then that's how I roughly guessed what my degrees was. Then I also marked that and measured the difference, and it was like 15 mil. I think 15 mil worked out to be roughly 17 degrees. I'm going to go do the opposite side, put that one on, and then what I'm going to do is get my final piece, or the top piece, and clamp it together where it's parallel with the roof at the correct height that I want, to work out if it's going to be too ugly to just have it square, or if I go put another little pie cut here and turn the last 100 mil or so a little bit more to run with that roll of the roof line. Maybe a lot to take in and comprehend, but what you'll see is when I'm done with this, you'll understand what I end up coming up with. I think it's going to get another little pie cut up here. It's a lot of trial and error, but this is how we work things out around here. On the inside here, we are 40 mil, and we're about 50. So I need to go in. All right, this is going to be so easy by myself. You should have clamped it the other way. Winging it. If we go over here, about yay, I am bang on 800. That's very nice. 15 mil. Let me just take a seat. 810, 82, 80. Smack myself square in the head with a bloody tape measure. 30 mil above the roof, which I do not mind. I like to be sleek. I don't like 150 mil above the roof. If I put something on a rack and I'm 30 mil, it should theoretically be 30 mil above the roof. Look, this may work, this may not work. And if it don't work, it wasn't me. Sit down, have a look-see. Call the wife and make sure it's good. Bring. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
What you doing?
Come out here, have a look.
Yeah? Well, where are you going to kick it again?
Well, then it will join. I had it on before, and I had it like halfway up the level. Don't even try to tell me they're not the same, because they are. They're 175 millimeters each. You can't even see me, it's dark. We've got this tacked in now. It's So it's 300 mil to the bottom edge. I'm gonna try and get someone, hopefully this week, to cut and fold a piece of aluminium flooring for me, and then cut the second one. So that way I can just drop it straight in. And then I'm gonna run 2 tubes from like there to here and here to the little kicker. So I'm gonna get a piece of tube, clamp it, draw lines on it, cut it, slot it in. Tube, where are you? Something like that, something like that. Oh, no, I can't clamp it there. That is solid. I like it. Get my tape measure now and measure my little floors and call her a night, I think. So we can see now that I've got these 2 little pieces in each side. This is a 90-degree bend, and I want my center section to be bigger than what this piece is here where the lights are going to go. So what I did is cut it square, and then I cut a 5 mil angle on the square cut, which gave me a little bit more. That was just guessing because I got to guess this piece here. I'm going to get a bit of tube. I might just clamp it from end to end, and I might put some little ties in here to tie that piece together, depending how solid it is. I don't know yet. And then I'm thinking of putting a piece from like here back to my slider on a diagonal angle to sort of tie all my tube work together to make it pretty strong. What I'm going to do once I put this piece in, I'll go check Gemma's lights on her car, because I actually like the style of her cars, to see how big they are, to see if they will fit in between this little section, to determine where I'll put a little bit of tube coming up and down to sort of separate the 2. So I'll just make sure it all fits pretty well. How's it look? What do you think? Does it look level? I think it looks level. You reckon it looks level? That's what I thought, yeah. Well, as you can see, I have all my little cross-membered pieces in. Now it's time for the finishing touch on top of this. I think it's gonna look sick, to be honest. I think it's gonna look mad. Finally had time to pick the stuff up today, so I'm gonna go grab it. Oh, it needs a little bit of a trim. Look at that. That looks good. Oh, look at that. Wow, cuz. Ah, gotcha. It ain't gonna be colourblind sheets. Don't worry, it's just playing a little trick. Having a funny, have a joke every now and then. My floor, but in saying that, I'm getting it folded in 3mm aluminium, so it's lighter than steel. And then I'll riv nut into the cross members, which you'll see when I do it anyway. Yeah, so I'm getting it folded, 2 pieces, one here, it's gonna hit that, run up, and then I'm gonna riv nut into that one, because I got a little tab. I think it was 15mm, so then that way everything's nice. I'm going to try and get like a countersunk head, round out the hole that we drill and put that on there, and it'll look Mickey Mouse. It'll look way better than what we just had on there. Another thing, my rear section, I was talking to the group about it, sending them pictures, and Berto suggested on doing a different one with the bender. I couldn't be bothered with the bender, but when he spoke about it and we had a look at some photos and stuff, I decided I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go chop that rear bit off, and then once I chop that off, I went and brought another piece of tube today. They're like 30-40 bucks or something for a length. So I'm going to cut that one off, rebend a new one. I'll do the middle one first. It'll give it a bit more of an aggressive look rather than how it is. So whoa, my bar work, I broke it. God damn. So what I'm doing just here is I'm using a texter, and I am running it along the edge of my RHS here against my tube, so that way I have a nice straight line from end to end. So when I do my bends, I'm putting them on the same plane, so it's all on one straight line. I've always struggled to work out how to do it, but this is like pure genius right here. I feel like bloody Albert Einstein. 2 new things. I changed the rear design, as you will see. This took about 12,000 goes to get correct. Notching that there was actually pretty hard. I don't have a tube notcher. I'm just dead set on a grinder. That's all I'm doing. And then making sure they're the same either side. That's why the level's there, so I can roughly measure the distance. I think it's within a millimeter. And I got my floor, as you can see, 3mm aluminium folded, and then I got a little 10-15mm tab here. I just got to cut that angle, and then it will sleeve right in. Before I do that, but I need to fully weld out everything underneath. So I'm gonna finish those. I'm gonna try and do these, and then I'm gonna fully weld everything out here so I can put the floor on, and then it's a tray, technically. And I'll go in and fill these with bits of mild steel. So I'm gonna use steel for them because I want to be able to weld them. I'll use cardboard, trace it around, slide it in, and then cut it out of a bit of steel. But yeah, they're 70 degrees, nice 70-degree bend. It sort of narrows and makes that a little bit smaller in there, which is nice. This bad boy here for the light, I can't fit any massive lights in. I can fit small ones, but I'll work that out. That's a later problem. You got a rock in your shoe. So it's the weekend, which means one thing. I have 2 days, 2 full days to do what I can to this. I reckon I'll go close to pretty much finishing it without paint. You going? Can you say bye, Mum?
Bye, Mum. I just want my mommy.
Come on, let's go. As you can see, I've done a few things. I've infilled that light panel. I haven't done these ones, which I'm going to, and then I've got to infill my guards. Once I infill the guards, I just got to fully weld it out and then riv nut my floor on. One thing I did do with the floor, and I'll admit that I measured it wrong. So I measured from the headboard, the crossways one, the one in the middle, down to where the floor would be, 325 mil. But what I didn't realize is I forgot to take in the account of the overall thickness of the material. When I drew the picture, I put 325 on the internal side, where I should have put it on the external side, which is 6 mil too big. But it's fine. What I'll do is it's going to be riv nutted up there anyway, and then it's just going to have a slight slope at the end, because obviously I don't want to pay for a new bit of floor or wait for one. The spare is going to go there, and the fridge is going to go there anyway. You're barely probably going to notice it. If it's too much of a hassle or too much of a problem, I'll fix it later on. Hey, Millie. Dad's talking. Watch out. So yes, be careful when you do that. That was just not thinking and writing it down, and then when I put it on, I realized what I did. Is what it is. I'm just a person at home. I'm no machine. I'm gonna have mistakes. I'll set up my little horses I brought and the flat metal. The flat metal, I just brought a 1200 by 1800 1.6 mil mild steel or hot rolled steel sheet, and I'm just going to cut all the bits out of it. 1.6 mil still has a bit of movement if I need to like manipulate it to bend it around certain areas, but it's also reasonably strong. Once it's all in there, it's pretty goddamn strong. So all I did to work out how to cut this on that one, I just butt it up, find my points. Yeah, very good. There is a spaceship. I just traced like the inside and then just took bit out by bit out. So it will go like this. And then I have my 2 curves. So we'll work out a couple welds now. I'm thinking these ends, fully welding, and then like a good stitch, good stitch, good stitch, fully weld, and then like copy the stitches up the top is my theory. We'll go halfway, 1140, so 570. Where I put this weld right here is smack bang in the middle. Well, I've gone and put in both of my wheel guard panels now. I just got to fully weld out a few bits and pieces on them, but I'm just going along and tacking everything on, and then I'll just spend 2-3 hours just fully welding everything out. You guys don't need to see me fully welding everything. You guys know how it works. You press the button on the trigger and it's like a hot glue gun. It sticks 2 bits of metal together. That's it. So you don't need to see me do that for 3 hours. These bits here, 20 mil or 25 mil wide, 5 mil thick. And what they're for, they fit in between my scrub rail and the RHS as like a brace. That one is for where my tube guard is. So that's the full width of the top of the tube guard. And then I got 2 little 100 mil ones to go in between the end and the tube guard on both sides, front and rear. I go burn them in. All the screwdriver is for is to make the gap even, both sides. And yes, I got these little suckers for like here and up here somewhere. Get me tape measure, do some marking out. So I've just drilled all my holes for like where the headboard's gonna bolt up into it. I'm just putting my nutserts in. Riv nuts, nutserts, riv nuts. They're pretty strong. I was just putting this in while I had the time because little Millie was walking around, so I couldn't weld everything out. Pretty sure I've just got to weld. I might drill the rest of these ones out actually and bolt this one fully, trying to think. Because when I drill them out, I'm gonna have to take the floor off, put all the nutserts in, put all the floor back in. So I might put it in, put them on, clamp it and go through and drill them all out and do all this one, because I can do this piece. I fully welded this bit out the other day just to test fit this, and I'll fully weld out that and then put that floor on. That's the top done. I'll sacrifice one of my riv nuts. I did buy plenty. I'll sacrifice it just to show you. It's called a riv nut, I'm certain, because it's like riveting, but what you're doing is you're putting a nut in there, so it's a riv nut. And if it's not, don't come at me. Right, so this, in case you didn't know, is a riv nut. So it's a hollow threaded nut. If you look at the bit that has the lines on it, that squishes together around the material you're putting it in. And then I've gone and got some 12.9 high tensile Allen key bolts. They're M8. 20 mil long. The reason I went with this is when I drill my hole out, I'm going to be able to countersink that to the material. And when I countersink that to the material, it should sit pretty close to flush with the surface. And then this will go into my 50 by 50 RHS. And what happens is obviously they just bolt together. With the riv nut, you get a little tool. This is just a cheap one from Super Cheap that I've had for ages. You put it on top. So if I open it up, twist it on all the way till it's tight, and then what you do is you squeeze it together, and if you have a look, it normally squishes around the material and it clamps and creates like a nut inside the hole that you've drilled, and then you bolt to that. That's what a riv nut is. And to get it off, you just untwist this little bit on the bottom here. Once it's, imagine that's hard to the surface, you just untwist your bottom bit and the riv nut stays in there forever. That is what I'm using for my floor, and the reason I went with that is so they're all flush and perfect and the floor's bolted on, so I could always take the floor off in the future if I had to. Well, got the floor in. I put a support this corner, that corner. It literally just pieces of steel that I had off cut. It was like 50 mil, and then like a 300 mil one in the middle there. I've already got one here and one in that one, so I've got my 5 fixings on the rear. But now I'm going to go and drill out all of these, put my nutserts in and bolt the floor on. I don't think I need it off anymore because I can fully weld everything around, like it's all on the outside here now. And it's going to get a rubber mat over it anyway. I'm going to put like a 3 or 4 mil thick rubber mat over it. But yeah, that's it. That one's already got the 2 nutserts in it still, so I'm going to go drill out the rest of them and finish them off. There'll be 10 across this one beam in the middle here because it's a join, so I'm going to do them in 5s. 10 there, 5 here, 5 there, and then 5 on the rear, and hopefully we don't get any of that. If we do, I don't know, I'll think about it. But would you believe it? We have a tray. It is a car. I could put the seats in it now. Oh, I can't, my front diff's bent. If my front diff was straightened, I could put seats in it and literally drive it. I don't care about the paint right now. I just want to wheel. I miss wheeling. That'd be the best. Anyway, let's get going. It ain't gonna nutsert itself. Went and got our new riv nut gun, king chrome this time, so we went spend a little bit more money than the last time with my cheap one that decided to break. Not sponsored, paid for it out of my own cold hard pocket. King chrome, apparently the one tool for me, everyone says. We'll find out about this. We'll see if it's any smoother than the old Tool Pro. Initial thought, not bad. Get our M8 out. How's this bad boy going, eh? Left-handed thread by the looks of it. And then this bit here goes on, is everything left-handed. So it doesn't undo while you're trying to do it the other way. That's just pure genius, that is. Mate, they've thought about everything here. This is the one tool for me. Righto, let's jump up and put the rest of our riv nuts in. One thing I did do too, I don't know if you can see it all or not, I black zinced all my grind marks and all my drill holes for the simple fact that I don't want that to rust. Way easier to tighten. Some idea it just doesn't want to loosen itself up, you know. Come on, man, I just raved on how good you were and you want to go do this to me. Why? Why me? I think it was because this hole was a little bit how you're going. This also, by the way, has a lock nut, so you can lock it to the depth. Yes. Don't know why this is so hard to do. First one, silky smooth, torque the tool up. Second one, bad. I'm obviously doing something wrong, but I don't know what. So anyone knows, let me know. I'm not going to read the instructions because that will not boost my ego. Ooh, I might have fixed it. I think I had it too deep. I was squishing too much. Come on, work. One more and put the floor on. You would not read about what just happened. The nutset broke. And it's still attached to this. I don't know how to get that off. The only way I can think of getting this off is by grinding it. That's like my only option. I'm lost for words. Here I am thinking how good nutserts are, how good this tray's going. Apparently today is just not my day. Now my nutsert is like not long enough to put a nutsert in the fucking hole. Absolute awesome this is. There goes the old one. Now, how are we going to go about this bad boy? So I couldn't get the M8 to work again. It's now shit, in the bin, fucked, rubbish. M8 done, all because the riv nut decided to break. So what I did is I drilled this one out 1 mil bigger or 2 mil bigger, whatever the hole size would be roughly, probably 2 mil. And then put an M10 one in it. I just need to literally go to the bolt shop to get an M10 size bolt. Rest of them, M8. Really, really annoying, but the only good thing is because I'm putting a rubber mat over it, you probably won't see much of it anyway. And if you ever do point out, I'll break your fucking legs. All right, now we can do them all up. And for this exercise, we're going to use the drill. So we've got our lights. These ones actually fit pretty well. They're just like a nice slim light. They're like 230, 240 mil roughly by like 25, 30. I actually had these left over from Gemma's tray ages ago and they fit pretty nicely. As you can see, I've already drawn my lines and I'm just going to have them sort of staggered. For my reverse lights, I'll have my number plate here, and I had one of them. I couldn't find the second one. Just an old school King's flush mount work light. Bright as hell, so perfect for reversing, especially if you got really dark tint like myself. It was great. And because I could only find one, I just went and brought new ones. Literally, I think they cost me like $45. Cheap as. I was missing one brake light. I had both indicators. Missing one brake light. One of these cost me $58. And then I got two reverse lights for like $45. So go figure. Anyway, we're going to go whack these in, cut them out, cut out these lights, just have them sort of mounted sitting there. That way I can just take them out, not wired up. Wiring up will be a later problem, but for now, we're just gonna dry fit these sort of in there and then call it a day on the tray and move on to the next part of the build. What we're gonna do in the corner is I'm gonna use a drill bit and just like drill until it touches, sort of rounds the corner out, and then I'll just grind straight across. I won't be able to get a grinder on that tiny little 20 mil. So yeah, I'll just drill a hole and hope for the best. Another thing, how I got them so perfect, bit of cardboard. That's the cutting size of what the light is, and I just put that on and trace that way easier. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the old King's ones. I'm gonna use my polishing blade, just give them a little polish, even one with 90-degree polish on the sides of it, so I can get right into those corners. Make it nice and neat, get rid of all the burrs. Really weird talking with headphones on, by the way. Sounds weird. So for now, I'm just gonna put some little like wafer head screws in it, just to help hold it. I'm just gonna put some little countersunk Phillips head screws in it. Actually fit alright. I can put some riv nuts into it later, but I didn't have any bolts small enough right now. They are so sleek. I actually really like that. If you know me, you know that I like things to be like neat, tidy, like real slim. They're slim. Right there. This is just temporary. The holes in this number plate are pretty shitty. Beautiful. This one I will not drill holes because I should be able to get a grinding blade on all sides. Hopefully I don't go too far. If I go too far, I'm going to be fuming, and everyone in the comments will be like, this is why you should have cut all your lights in before you welded it in. You know what? I like to live life on the edge. You come here and build the tray then. I'm just a dumb old roofer, mate, doing fabrication work. Give her a bit of a polish. Moment of truth. Also, they come with a plug on them. If you cut them off, there's a positive and negative. That's what I would have done to this one. Damn, son, look at that. I mean, the screws don't look too bad. Paint them black and they'll look Mickey Mouse. Well, we're gonna wrap that tray build up there. We're pretty much done. I've got a little bit of welding to do, but I'm gonna have to remove the tray to weld it. It's like, argument's sake, the top of the headboard where it's like I'm welding above my head. I don't want to burn my head. Have you seen this pretty face? I don't want to mess it up or anything. So I'll wait till I get it off. I'll just use a block and chain, is it called? I'm not sure. Block and tackle, block and chain, I'm not sure the one. Anyway, I got one of them. I'll put it here somewhere or down the backyard, and I'll just lift the tray off, move the car out, drop it down, and then that way I can flip it and do what I need. Make sure all the welds are fully done. There's a few, like I said, that are right underneath and that are going to be annoying to be doing. So we're going to love you and leave you right there. Part 2, tray build, done. Third bit will just be paint. I'm not going to bother showing you wiring up and all those teeny little bits. There'll probably be a video at the end of the build series where it's all like the little 1% things, argument's sake, window, wiring, splitter gears on the diff, straighten diff, all those little things that I need to make it complete to get it rolling again. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.